At the age of 8, what were you doing? Like in primary school?
Playing around in the playground.
Were you digging soil or something?
No, I used to be the kid that gives out lollipops and sweets to everyone
Oh,
in the playground.
I want it. I want. Hi, I'm Richard from Young Rebellion, and today my guest is...
I'm Poh Sim.
Okay, so today's episode is obviously with mukbang.
With childhood snacks.
We got the fish fillet, then Maggi, cheese ball, white rabbit, Pringles, Mr. Potato, and then lastly Super Ring.
We have koi.
Let's start off with this. Today's topic is depression. So what exactly is depression? Depression, also known as major depressive disorder, is a common and serious medical illness that negatively affects how the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act. It causes feelings of sadness or like loss of interest in activity once enjoyed, can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems, and can decrease a person's ability to function at work. Fortunately, depression is treatable. Do you know the symptoms of depression?
It can cause for someone to either sleep a lot, or they don't sleep, or they can have loss of appetite, or they might overeat.
So symptoms of depression can vary from mild to severe, which includes feeling sad or depressed mood, loss of interest in activities once enjoyed, changes in appetite, weight loss, gain unrelated to dieting, trouble sleeping or sleeping too much, increase in purposeless physical activities such as hankering, pacing, or slow movements, and speech extremes mostly observed by others. Feeling worthless or guilty, difficult thinking, concentrating on making decisions, and thoughts of death or suicide. And these symptoms must last at least 2 weeks for a diagnosis of depression. But medical conditions such as thyroid problems, a brain tumor, or vitamin deficiency can mimic symptoms of depression. So it's important to rule out general medical causes. Yeah, why do you think they will have depression?
I think there's two main factors. So firstly, it can be from external environment. So maybe they might feel like immense amount of stress or pressure, or maybe they face some kind of traumatic experience. Secondly is genetics, maybe like passed down from a relative or something.
So according to what she said, there's two of it, which is like environmental factors, where if one is continuously exposed to violence, neglect, abuse, or poverty, it may make someone be vulnerable to depression. So depression can run in family. For example, if an identical twin has depression, the other one has 70% chance of having the same illness sometime in life. Why is it? I never auto-lock. The third one is biochemistry, where the difference in certain chemicals in brain may contribute to symptoms of depression. And lastly is personality. People with low self-esteem, who are easily overwhelmed by stress, who are generally pessimistic, appear to be more likely to experience depression. Moving on, the medication treatment, where the brain chemistry contributed to the individual depression may factor into their depression. So for this reason, antidepressants are prescribed to help modify one's brain chemistry. Antidepressant medications have no stimulating effect on people who does not experience depression. Antidepressants may produce some improvement within the first week or two of use. Full benefits may not be seen for 2 to 3 months. If a patient feels little to no improvement after several weeks, his or her psychiatrist can alter the dose of medication or add or substitute another antidepressant, usually recommended to take it for 6 or more months after symptoms has improved. Longer term maintenance treatment may be suggested to decrease the risk of future episodes for certain people at high risk. The next one is psychotherapy, also known as talk therapy. So psychotherapy is sometimes used alone for treatment of mild depression, for moderate to severe depression. And psychotherapy is often used with medication, with the antidepressant medicines. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a form of therapy focused on the present and the problem solving, helping people to recognize distorted thinking and then change their way of behavior and thinking. Psychotherapy may involve the individual, but it can include others. For example, family or couples therapy can address issues within this close relationship. Group therapy involves people with similar illnesses. And lastly is the electroconvulsive therapy, ECT. It's a medical treatment most commonly used for patients with severe major depression or bipolar disorder who have not responded to other treatments. It involves a brief electrical stimulation of the brain while patient is under anesthesia. A patient typically receives ECT 2 to 3 times a week for a total of 6 to 12 treatments.
If it's normal hospital, it's 3K to 5,200 ish. And subsidized cost is like 1,000 each. But if it's private, the treatment cost can go up to 200K. What do you think about mental health in Singapore?
I think the youth in Singapore are generally well aware of it. But I think the older generation is still conservative about it. They still think that it's a taboo and they don't treat it seriously.
Lack of knowledge, misconception of mental illnesses, social ostracization, and lack of support from family and friends may be contributing factors to youth suicide. So I'm going to say about like 3 stories of them guys.
So for this guy, he had 2 episodes of depression due to the circumstances. Secondary, he didn't really believe anyone around him, especially about his mental illness. He didn't tell his family because he couldn't face them and he didn't want them to worry. It was better afterwards lah, but it can be triggered again. This is seen because in 2019 he had his 2nd episode of depression. So in 2019 he was working in a high work stress environment. He felt worthless about himself, couldn't use the old methods to manage, such as like friends, walks, food, and compared to before, his appetite was real bad. He either ate 1 meal to go on for the rest of the day or just didn't eat at all. His sleep quality wasn't good. He had fatigue even sleeping, either trouble sleep or slept a lot, and had thoughts about death or suicide. These symptoms lasted for a year plus. But lucky for him this time, right, his parents noticed it and talked to him, but episodes of depression will occur sometime later if he does not learn how to self-manage himself. This is one case of self-diagnosis. His advice to you who may have depression: find someone that you are willing to put your life on, and if it's a family caused depression, seek medical help. A helpline in Singapore. Family will always support you. That's what he says.
Do you tend to speak about your problems more to your family or to your friends?
To my friends, because my family have really different mindset from me, so it's really hard for me to open up to them sometimes.
So for this A guy, he can talk his personal problems to his family, but that is not a problem for other people lah.
Had depression quite a young age, around I think 8 years old or something like that. He was adopted and his foster mom didn't really give him much attention because his grades weren't very good also. Then she always took it out on him after work. She would emotionally abuse him, say a lot of hurtful words, even though he's just a kid, but he would compare him to everyone else, like the neighbor, the relative, then say things such as why are you so dumb, why are you so stupid. He really considered suicide at the age of around 10 plus, I think. He bought bleach and then he was really tempted to drink it all. So he confided a lot in outsiders, like his colleagues and also his friends. And it was also his friends who were his pillar of support. And he decided to also pick himself up and try and battle depression because of his friends.
There are many cases that depression actually rooted from family, so it's not really a strong rooted thing that you must confide to your family about it. As long as you don't battle it alone and find someone you're trusted to deal with it, it is a better thing than compare it with battling alone. The second story, this guy was in secondary 1. He experienced something and then he went through depression. But the way he handled his depression is doing his hobbies and oversleeping. This case is also self-diagnosed and his first thought was just to end it all. There are better ways to go about problems except for suicide. He didn't really seek closure with his friends. Some friends left him because he told them that he had depression. But the thing is, if a friend heard that you have problems with yourself and just walk you out of it, then that is not friend at all. Just find someone that you can trust with and talk to him or her about it.
Someone who is genuine.
Do you think that handle it ourselves? Should we get people to help?
I feel like seeking professional treatment is really important. My relative is diagnosed with depression, but even though the doctor did tell her, still in denial, and she refuses to seek help. So she also refused to take the pills that she was prescribed. Okay, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells every time because I might never know when she might blow up or whatever. It's very tiring as a family member. I feel like you should seek professional help because you might never know when you'll come back. And it's very difficult for them. I'm not saying that it's your fault, but I feel like
should be more open to treatment and should be more open to help.
oh, my jaw very pain nowadays.
Okay, the last guy.
Mm.
This guy, he had symptoms of it since 8. At the age of 8, what were you doing? Like
I
in
was
primary school?
playing around in the playground.
Were you digging soil or something?
No, I used to be the kid that gives out lollipops and sweets to everyone
Oh,
in the playground.
I want. I'm the type of kid that does not go home after school. I'll go to the playground, I'll play, and then we will say like discipline master gonna come, and then we all run away. So primary school actually had a very fun.
It was a very innocent time back then.
Yes, he was dealing with these symptoms like a daily life norm since young. The factors for it was like at a young age, pressure from family. Then in secondary school was like relationship issues. Poly was like the school issues. But for this guy, he has been living on symptoms of depression. Can you see like people at age of 8 losing sleep or like eating very less or like thoughts about death or suicide? Afterwards, in poly, he had friends around him telling him that he should get clarity because in poly we all know what is mental health already. So he finally got himself to go and check it out. He found out he was diagnosed with mild depression. These few years he had experiencing was like low mood, no energy to do anything, sluggish and tired, especially suicidal thoughts. C guy took antidepressants for about 1 to 2 years. He stopped taking it and now he's just going through psychotherapy. You see the progress of his symptoms and then like he was actually getting better. He stopped having suicidal thoughts and he said that he definitely felt better. But he still knows that he needs to manage himself because this can come back anytime, especially if something bad happens. Even if you have episodes of depression and then you thought that you are okay already, it will still come back to you if you don't change the way you manage yourself. Do you have anything to suggest tell people to how to manage their troubles or like stress?
Confiding in someone is really important. If you feel like you don't trust the people around you, I think you can talk to strangers online because it's easy to tell a stranger. They don't know you, they don't know how you look like. Like online friends I have are really supportive of me, and because my online friends also, some of them are older and more experienced, so sometimes they will give out really useful advice. One of the most useful advice an online friend told me was you have to find your motivation for living. It might not be something permanent, but at least find something that you can look forward to every time when you feel lost, so that it doesn't feel like everything in life is so dark.
Exercising can be one of the ways.
It might be temporary, but it will definitely make you feel like in better spirits. Ultimately, the most important thing is we can just let them know that they're not alone, because I think for someone to like know that they have a mental illness, which is still quite it's actually a very sensitive topic, to know that they have mental illness and they have to seek treatment, it can be quite scary for them. As their friends or as their loved ones, the most important thing we can do is constantly show them our support, our love, let them know that they won't be doing this alone.
But do you think that ultimately getting treatment is the best thing?
I think yes, because like depression is all about the chemical reactions in our brain. Battling it alone can be quite tough. Seeking professional help would be good. I think people can also resort to apps for it. They have also apps where you can seek to talk to a professional. It's probably free, or maybe it comes at a discounted price.
What do you think about self-diagnosis?
I don't think self-diagnosis is necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like it can bring down the severity of the issue
compared to like us trending it as like we have depression, bringing down the severity of the issue, and our older generations who does not see it as an issue. Which one do you think is like much more worse?
I feel like both is worse. Okay, so for the first case, right, the Xiaomei is thinking that mental illness is a trend and that it's a good way to seek attention. Then a lot of people also find it really cringy and think that like, oh, it isn't a real thing. So for those who actually suffer from like depression, right, like it makes them more scared to open up to people, because like
People like this will result in misconception of mental illness, and people with mental illness will get social ostracization.
Second point, which is the older generation not believing in like mental illness being a real illness. My relative that I mentioned, yeah, so she thinks that whatever the doctor diagnosed with her is not real. She thinks that it's just from stress, like, but she actually does mention like suicide a lot, which can be quite hurting to the relatives. I feel like there should be more education on mental illness as a whole to the older generation.
We should try to reduce the misconception of mental illnesses. What do you think of the way of Singapore dealing with mental illness? People like other countries have much more mental illness campaign pushed out compared to us.
I feel like education and campaign can be pushed out more because the cost of treatment can cost 200k, which I think is really expensive, and because of the high cost, right, a lot of people refuses to seek treatment from it. I think we can have like non-government organizations like those fundraise or charity groups. Yeah, but I think we can set up more organizations to help reduce the cost of treatment for others, for those who really need it.
Okay, in conclusion, if you think you have symptoms of depression, try to seek help. Either confide to people you trust, or if possible, seek medical professional help. Because as outsiders, we don't know people with depression what they are going through. At most, we can try to be much more understanding of them and read up much more things about mental illnesses, be knowledgeable about these issues, and to reduce the misconception and reduce the social ostracization towards these people. So these people can be much more comfortable to seek help. If you have any stories that you want to mention that or some perception that we haven't mentioned in this video, feel free to comment down below. And lastly, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. I'm Rachel from Young Rebellion, and
I'm Poh Sim.
and this is the end of the video. Bye bye.